find the period and amplitude. So we're looking for two things. Then choose a graphing window that will display two periods. So pretty much if we find the period, it'll be easy to display two periods. We just make the graphing window go from the negative period to the positive period, and then it'll display two periods. And then the amplitude, that should be fairly simple. So if we're given an equation like this, then we can pick stuff apart. We can figure out what these numbers actually mean if we know the general form for sine or cosine, or also for tangent. So I'll do the tangent one as well. For the basic trig functions, the normal period for sine and cosine is 2 pi, and the normal period for tangent is simply pi. So those are actually meaningful, and those will become important. But let's look at the general form for sine or cosine. So I'll write that down right now. So they're pretty much the same, except for one's cosine, one's sine. So right away, A is amplitude. So here, the amplitude is just 3. So A is amplitude. In fact, here are all the parts. A is amplitude, B is the period. It could end up being negative, but we're just taking the positive version because it doesn't matter whether it's negative or positive because it goes in both directions. C is the horizontal shift, and D is the vertical shift. So this should be fairly simple. All right, let's get it going. So let's pull this apart and make it look like this, because it doesn't exactly look like this. A is fine, so the amplitude for this answer, I'll do it in yellow. Amplitude, that's just 3, so that's part of our answer. Find the period and amplitude. Now we got to find the period. This is not exactly the same as this. This doesn't have a coefficient on the x. This does. So we have to force factor something. So what I'm going to do is I'll write this again, and then I'll force factor it. So I'm going to go ahead and look at the inside. I want to factor out this 2. So the outside, y equals 3 cosine. That's all going to be the same. But then we have this bracket. So I'll write that bracket. So bracket instead of parentheses, and I force factor a 2 out, and then I'm left with x minus pi, and then plus 1. Okay, so now it looks like this, except for there's no pi. That's kind of weird. Must be that pi is included in the b. Let's see. Oh wait, this is not right. This should be pi over 2, right? Yes, because I'm factoring out. If I distributed, I would get back to this. So okay, there, that's good. Now, then what I can do to find the period, well, this coefficient will help me find the period. So those coefficients are supposed to be the same, and then I can just solve for b. Hopefully that makes sense. Like a is a, so you can just see it. All of this stuff is 2 pi divided by b. X is x, that's great. We have minus c, so c is pi over 2, that's how much you shift. This is shifting, I think, to the right, because you do the opposite. And then d is 1. So you can see everything, it just, the period requires a little bit more calculation. So if I took this coefficient, 2 pi divided by b, 2 pi divided by b, and I set it equal to this coefficient, 2, and then I can solve for b. And b, just if you so like multiply both sides by b, divide both sides by 2, you just get pi equals b. Hopefully that makes sense. Divide both sides by 2, multiply both sides by b, whatever. You can figure that out. You can solve for b. So b, remember b is the period. You do have to do a little bit of calculation there. So period is just pi. And that means, we have to properly choose a window. Well, since we know the period is pi, the proper window would just be from, so if I had my axes here, would be from negative pi all the way to positive pi. Right? Because one period will fit in there. Doesn't matter where it starts. It could look like this. say, what is this, cosine? I mean, it's not the actual graph for cosine, but this is what I'm going to say. So normal cosine looks kind of like this. So if it worked out, then I would have 2 periods from negative pi to pi. But this is not actually normal cosine. It's shifted to the left and shifted up. But that also doesn't matter because I can shift this. Say it looked like this. So it hit the middle there. Maybe I should do it more accurately. If I saw this, that it would just continue on. So make it look a little bit better. If I saw this and it would continue on to be like that, and this would be like that. So this is still displaying 2 periods because I start here and then I end back up there. So that's 1, and then I do it all over again, 2. So this still displays 2 periods, even though it doesn't start out like the normal cosine like that. It doesn't have to be like normal looking. So all you're doing is stating the window to be from negative pi to pi, because that's just the period. There you go. Hopefully that makes sense. It's a tiny bit different for tangent. I suppose I'll do that in a different video.